Vinton County High School, a place of education, became a place of refuge for at least one Vinton County resident after an evacuation was ordered Wednesday morning, June 11th.
Then the phone went to ringing. It was a friend of mine in Athens County. She called to let me know that we were to hold in place order. Then about 10-15 minutes later, she calls and tells me we're to evacuate. And then it ain't about 2 or 3 minutes until they're going around town with the speaker telling everybody to evacuate.
Susan, along with other area residents, had to evacuate for safety reasons because of this orange-colored plume of gas in the sky above Austin Powder's Red Diamond plant near Zaleski. The plant experienced a sudden and unexpected release of nitrogen oxide into the atmosphere at approximately 7:15 a.m.
They're about 50 years, and I've never, ever had anything like this happen. Yes, it was scary.
Jackson County Emergency Management Agency Director Rob Zaleski, who was acting as public information officer on behalf of the Vinton County EMA, along with Brad Price, who is an environmental health director with the Vinton County Health Department, held a press conference inside the Fern Kruger exhibit building at the Vinton County Fairgrounds. This allowed for more details on the developing situation to be reported to the public. Further details were released later through email.
There was a chemical release out of a 5,000-gallon nitric acid tank. There was an evacuation of 3-mile radius initially around the plant, and then they eventually evacuated the village of Zaleski, which has approximately 750 residents. The Vinton County EMA utilized their HyperReach mass notification system, along with there was radio announcements and television announcements. The Red Cross opened up a shelter at the Vinton County High School in MacArthur, which is off of 50, just west of the village of MacArthur. The Federal Aviation Administration implemented a temporary flight restriction of a radius of 30 nautical miles with a 23,000-foot ceiling around the area at 10:25 this morning. So we didn't want any drone or helicopter traffic. Hazardous materials teams from neighboring counties assisted. The 2 hazardous materials teams is the Wellston Fire Department hazmat team, which is made up of hazmat technicians and operators out of Jackson and Vinton and other counties. And we also had the Ross County hazmat team, which is made up of firefighters from Chillicothe Fire Department and the VA Fire Department. There were multiple road closures in the area, and the Ohio Department of Transportation helped with that. The Vinton County Emergency Operations Center and Joint Information Center were opened in response to this, which is down at the Sheriff's Office right down the road. One other thing here. And I already mentioned to you that the chemical was nitric oxide that was in the plume. I'm going to turn it over to the Health Department to tell you the effects of nitric oxide.
Just briefly on the symptoms, we had some changing information, but for nitric oxide, you're looking at symptoms that range from irritation of eyes, skin, nose, and throat, to drowsiness and maybe some unconsciousness. That's for acute exposure. There's not going to be anything that we know on long term with the recentness of all of this. What we would recommend, if you feel that you've been exposed, clean yourself, irrigate eyes, fresh water, those kind of things. If you feel any lingering effects past that, contact your primary care physician or get to urgent care or emergency room for treatment.
The situation came to an end on late Wednesday afternoon. The evacuation orders were lifted by 4:34 p.m. Austin Powder had confirmed that the nitrogen oxide emissions had ceased. At that time, residents were given the all clear and allowed to return home. The Ohio EPA reported that an unknown contaminant entered the 5,000-gallon process tank containing the nitric acid at the plant. This caused a chemical reaction that created nitrogen oxide gas, which was vented into the atmosphere. There were no recorded injuries and no adverse health impacts identified to date after the incident. Austin Power reported that all precautions are being taken to mitigate any future risk as the health and safety of employees and the surrounding community remain a top priority. The Ohio EPA will be testing nearby streams for pH levels. At this time, there is no reason to believe that drinking or groundwater has been impacted. And air quality models show that preliminary nitrogen oxide concentrate levels at the plant's fence line were below health hazard thresholds.